Why am I choosing to raise my kids here in Germany rather than in Canada? Wahnsinn, oder? In Canada, it is much more tricky. Crazy. I got a number of messages regarding my last video when I said I would rather raise my kids in Germany than in Canada. I have to say, I absolutely love being Canadian. I am proud to be Canadian, but there are a number of reasons why I personally choose to raise my children here in Germany rather than in Canada. And that's what we're gonna go through today. If you've not been to my channel yet, hi there! I am Jenna. I am a Canadian. I've been living here in Germany since 2014. And over here on this channel, I will not only compare Canada and Germany, but also a lot of culture shocks and experiences and things that I learned along the way as a Canadian living in Germany. So let's get straight into it today. Why am I choosing to raise my kids here in Germany rather than in Canada? I'm just in the post-production phase now, and before we move forward, I can't believe I forgot the most important point for me and for my children. People living in Germany, people living in Europe are so well cultured. You're able to learn so many more languages naturally just by going to spend the summers in Spain or Greece or Italy. These opportunities here are endless, and I'm so happy and so excited that I'm able to take my children to these locations, because in Canada, the cost could add up pretty quickly. So I'm just extremely thankful that now living in Germany, my children will have the opportunity to really learn more languages, learn about different cultures, really embrace life to the fullest. Number one, the education system. I have to say, having been raised in Canada and going through the education system there as a child, I really loved it. There really isn't anything bad about the education system in Canada. One thing that I really do enjoy is the fact that they make it a little bit more hands-on. They offer a little bit more of a practical education versus here in Germany, there is a lot of textbook work. But there's more to the education system than just being able to learn practically or having it internationally recognized. Of course, I don't need to mention that university in Germany is free, or you pay a very, very low fee, or the fact that in some cities around Germany, the daycare can also be free, or starting at the age of 3, for example. It changes based on the city, but there is a lot of opportunity to not have to pay big bucks here in Germany. When we're talking about the young age, I really praise Germany for this concept of kiddos or forest kindergartens. I actually had to Google it. It does actually exist in Canada, but very few and far between. And the idea of this forest kindergarten or Waldkita is that the children play and learn outside, rain or shine, summer or winter. And instead of being led by the teachers, they are often supported or assisted by them. But what about when they go to the Grundschule or the elementary school? Number one, I would have to mention is class sizes. We've talked about this in a video before over on the Life in Germany channel about how I thought it was hilarious that German mummies were complaining when they would say, oh my God, there's like 24 kids in a class nowadays. It's absolutely insane. I haven't lived everywhere in Canada, so I only have the Greater Toronto area to compare to, but our class sizes were significantly larger. Also, talk to any education professional in Canada and they are going to complain to you that budget cuts constantly happen. It's also not very common to have your lunch provided to you. In Germany, this is also not the case because students often get out somewhere between 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. so they'll go home and have lunch. But now, thanks to this OGS concept becoming more and more popular today, OGS is offene Ganztagsschule, and here they have other extracurricular activities that they can partake in. They can do their homework. They're often provided a catered warm meal at lunch, because here in Germany in the evening we have Abendbrot, which means their warm meal is typically going to be at lunchtime, which saves me as a mom a lot of time. Thank you. Anyway, warm meals, extracurricular activities, including support with their homework. This is huge and it's becoming more and more popular, especially in the Düsseldorf area, and these extracurriculars are actually becoming more and more creative, which means we are now seeing a lot more of these practical hands-on skills in Germany, like I mentioned in Canada, but even cooler. So the OGS schools around me offer like really crazy extracurriculars like dog training, perhaps even sign language. Not all schools, as I mentioned, but Stück für Stück, bit by bit, many of the schools in Germany are implementing this concept. You've also got something called this Herkunftssprachlicher Unterricht. I hope I said that right. And this is essentially a course that is offered to international students who have an international background. So perhaps one of their parents comes from Spain and they're speaking speaking German and Spanish at home. This course allows these foreign students to continue to learn their native language. This is in primary and secondary education. It is not offered in the English language yet. I believe that is because the students actually do learn a bit of English, depending on the school, starting around the 3rd or 4th grade. All in all, it differs between the cities here in Germany, but I personally find that the local governments support education a lot better in Germany than they do in Canada, which means every year we hear about some new rule or new concept that they're offering to children to help them become better global citizens. And I think this is really, really neat. Number 2 would be healthcare. And this might come to you guys as a shock because the Canadian healthcare is actually pretty good. When we're talking about efficiency or life expectancy or availability to resources, for example, Germany and Canada actually compare pretty one-to-one. They are very, very similar. But when we're speaking more practically, my number 1 reason would definitely be the wait times. In Canada, you can wait abnormally long time for an appointment. It is also extremely hard to find doctors in Canada now, especially family doctors. My mom has been searching for years and hasn't even found a family doctor yet. Here in Germany, I just did it at the click of a button. We have a website here called Doctolib where you can find appointments with a family doctor or even a specialty doctor and book that appointment online. So in Canada, where many people might be waiting 1 to 2 weeks to see their doctor for something small, I just go on Doctolib and I can book an appointment with my doctor here in Germany within 1 to 2 days, sometimes even the same day. And although we do pay a lot for our health insurance here in Germany, I was very surprised by the state-of-the-art hospitals and clinics here in Germany compared to Canada. As many of you know, I went home for 3 months this summer on Elternzeit or maternity leave. Unfortunately, 3 days before we flew back to Germany, my son fell into a TV stand and gashed open the side of his eye, which meant that we needed to be en route to the emergency center. It looked like it was a building from the 70s. People make fun of the German healthcare system, but I have to say the hospitals and clinics in Germany are much better maintained, much more efficient and much cleaner for the most part than in Canada. Of course, there's new Canadian hospitals that are very impressive, but many of the smaller towns still have these very rickety old clinics that have not been modernized since the 60s or 70s. I should also mention at this visit, we had to pay for our son out of pocket. We did have travel health insurance. We got the medical bill before he was even treated, and it ended up working out to be around 500 euros. A couple months earlier in Portugal, I had to go through the same thing. I had a ruptured eardrum from our flight to Portugal. I went to the emergency center and I spent 40 euros to get treatment, and all of the medication was covered. That's not only the price in Portugal, but also over here in Germany, you'll pay somewhere between 40 to 50 euros for your emergency care visit if you're not insured. My point number 3 would definitely be the work-life balance here in Germany. It's so much better than in Canada. We have a lot of push to work hard, be there to support the other employees that are there because we work well as a team in Canada. It's true, and this might not be the case for everybody, but in many scenarios, I find that Canadians focus a lot more on their employment rather than their family life. And that's because the push is there and the pressure is there, which makes life not very easy when you have children who get sick and you need to take time off. Here in Germany, you can often get sick days to take off for your children. So sick days for yourself and then sick days for your children. I just find that generally speaking, employees are a lot more understanding about having children or being sick or needing time off. Friends are a lot more understanding and family is a lot more understanding here in Germany. So that myself and pretty much all of my friends and family here in Germany would also have to agree that our work-life balance here is amazing. And for me, much better than it was back in Canada. I just had to relocate you guys because my battery was dying. Point number 4 might actually shock you guys as well, and that is because I'm going to stake the claim and say Germany is more child-friendly than in Canada. What? When you come to Germany on your very first day, you will 100% disagree with me. When I'm referring to child-friendly, I'm not referring to restaurants because restaurants in Germany are quite unfriendly for children. When I say child-friendly, I mean their parks and their outdoor activities for children are endless here. They have so many amazing playgrounds. Although I would say playgrounds in Canada are more accessible for those who have disabilities, which I find incredible. That's something that Germany really needs to work on. They have a lot of incredible service centers and activities for children run via the state or the local government, where you either pay a very, very low fee or no fee at all. And this could be for swimming or turnen, like gymnastics, for example. We have an arts and crafts club around the corner from us, which is also also free, and they learn how to do like pottery and graffiti. We also have a lot of Jungfreizeiteinrichtung, which is kind of like a youth center. We have these in Canada as well. I just find that they offer a little bit more here in Germany. We have one right around the corner. You'll find also within 2 kilometers vicinity of my house here, you'll find at least 2 or 3 different centers, and they learn various different skills. Sometimes they'll watch movies together, they'll plan parties or host events, and this is completely free. Plus, we also have this really cool Familienkarte here in Düsseldorf, for example, which I constantly use. We get many discounts around the city just for being a family. Number 5 would be safety. Again, if you look at these stats, I know many of you are going to argue with me. Canada and Germany are actually quite even. Statistically speaking, there are 19% more assaults in Canada than in Germany. However, Germany has a 25% higher murder rate, and sexual assault is 13 times more likely to happen in Germany than in Canada. So why am I saying it's safer? Living in a city, when I first moved here to Düsseldorf, Germany, for example, it really shocked me to look out my window and see children who are like 5, 6 years old walking to the bakery entirely by themselves with their little pocket change and their little Brottüte. I thought that was really sweet and also offers them the independence that they should be learning at that age. And you see so many young kids in the tram or the streetcars here and the buses. At the age of 6 here in Düsseldorf, for example, they get this like Schoko ticket, which is a ticket that covers all of the transportation for them. And they go on these modes of transportation with their friends to school and to their extracurriculars. I think this is a great way for children to learn. And it also showed me, okay, despite the statistics, Germany seems like a relatively safe country. And one of the biggest ones, maybe for you guys, for myself as well, number 6 would be financial benefits here in Germany. I guess the easiest way to do this is just to compare the costs and the financial benefits in Canada and in Germany for you. There are many, many different programs that we could compare. If this is something you guys are interested in, let me know. Maybe we can make a video comparing the financial costs. But for now, let's just focus on Elterngeld and Kindergeld. So parental leave money and child benefits. So when we're talking about parental leave in Germany, you have this Basis Elterngeld, or your basic parental leave money, and you will make per month somewhere between 300 euros and you're maxed out at 1,800 euros. In Germany, we also have the option of part-time too, and splitting that in half so we can generate more of an income for another discussion. And as a pair, we can get up to 14 months of Elterngeld. In Canada, it's a little bit more tricky. You have your standard parental leave income and your extended parental leave income for the most part. The standard, you will receive up to 40 weeks payment, which is about a maximum of 1,800 euros. So the same as in Germany. And then any additional months, you can make a maximum of about 1,100 euros. In Germany, you're actually going to make a little bit more, even if you are earning a little bit more, if that makes sense. And in Germany as well, you get a minimum of 300 euros, even if you're not employed. So even if you want to be a stay-at-home parent, you will still get this 300 euros as Elterngeld every month. Whereas in Canada, it might have changed, but as far as I know, you have to prove that you worked a minimum of 600 hours the year before you're actually claiming that parental money. Now let's talk about Kindergeld, or child benefits. It is very simple in Germany, thank goodness. Not everything is super simple when it comes to filling out paperwork. Kindergeld, or child benefits, you actually get 250 euros per month regardless of your income. However, that is a minimum, which means if you are unemployed, for example, you might also be able to get this Kinderzuschlag, or like this add-on benefit where you can get even more money from the government. Additionally, if you're a civil servant, so you're working for the government as, for example, a police officer or a teacher, you get even more benefits as well. So that 250 euros a month per child is standard across the board. So in Canada and in Germany, you will get these child benefits until your child is 18. I think that's pretty fair. However, in Germany, there are some more add-ons. If your child is still unemployed, you will get these child benefits until they're 21. If you've sent them to school and they're studying, they're getting an education, you will receive child benefits until they're 25 years old. Wahnsinn, oder? In Canada, it is much more tricky. I actually have to read off of a piece of paper for you guys to tell you. Under the age of 6 years at the moment, you can make a maximum of 619 Canadian per month. From 16 to 17 years of age, you will make $522 a month, which sounds great and is actually a lot more than our 250 euros a month per child. However, that is not always the case. That is like pretty much, I think, if you're unemployed, you'll get that money. Because it's such a complex system and it's really hard to understand, I actually did a survey that the Canadian government offers, and I went through, you know, how old are my children? How much money am I making? How much money am I paying in taxes? How much is my husband making and paying in taxes? Do we have any other forms of income, etc., etc., etc. At the end of the day, it worked out that we were going to get $332 Canadian, so about 230 euros per month in child benefits for 2 kids. That's less than half of what we get here in Germany. Depending on how much you and your family are making, you might get a little bit more in child benefits, you might get a little bit less. In Canada, I actually messaged my sister as well to ask her about the Kindergeld, and she said, when I was living on 0 income and just student loans and grants, I was getting about $1,000, and that's when she had 2 children. But now it will be substantially less, even with an extra child. I also haven't been getting them at all since June because of a mess up with my taxes. And then I asked her, do you think it's better than in Canada then? Like, would it be worth mentioning as a perk here in Germany? And she's like, yeah, maybe. That's 721 Canadian a month. Being unemployed, studying, she was getting 1,000 a month for 2 kids. I, as a middle income family, generating income, I'm getting 721 Canadian a month for 2 kids. That's pretty great, she says. I wish I knew what I'll be getting now with the money coming into the house. I'm guessing less, so I suppose the perk is knowing exactly how much support you'll be getting. There you go. She said it. And I totally agree. If there are other points though that you're curious about that you want to ask me about, feel free to let me know. One of my kids is at the Tagespflege, which is a daycare. The other one is at the Kita. And next year he'll be going into the elementary school or the Grundschule. But just let me know if you have any questions. I'm really glad that many of you asked the question, what are the advantages? And I hope that this has answered most of your concerns or your queries. Vielen, vielen, vielen lieben Dank und wie immer, bis später.